Welcome back, Shalligators. I know, we've got our old intro music back. Do you guys like it? I was looking for like new music for this new year, and I'm like, you know what? They really like the old one. I'm not finding anything I like better. Let's just go back to basics. Everything old is new again, including the bullshit with Demi Lovato, because how can we not? Demi, who has spent, her entire life crowing about one issue or another that she's beaten from her eating disorder. Yeah, Demi, we know you've conquered that eating disorder. We got it. Okay. To her drug, she's sober. Well, I mean, she's California sober. No, she's like actually sober. Bitch, you ain't sober at all because you just went to rehab. Now listen, I'm not here to trash people who go to rehab. I think it's a wonderful thing. It's so good for you. And I'm proud of her on that front, that she actually is seemingly, for once, doing something about her issues. But we cannot deny that she is a clown. So we're going to look at what we can learn from this. And I gotta say, I don't know that it's anything. I don't know. I don't know that it's anything. This might just be a roast video. You guys want to just hear me shred Demi Lovato for 20 minutes? Great, let's move on. So before we get started, just want to remind you guys that, let's see, what are we going to talk about? Oh, okay. So it's winter right now, right? And winter sucks so goddamn much, which is why I'm in a new surrounding. You might notice I'm not in my Montana house anymore. I'm not in my California place with my mom. I am in Scottsdale. I'm doing something, I don't know if you've heard this term, snowbirding. Snowbirds are people who basically fly south for the winter. They spend the summer in one climate, and then they go someplace else. People go to Florida, they go to Texas, they go to Arizona, Palm Springs, like places like that. And so, hello, I am a snowbird too. Typically it's like something retirees do because they're the only people who could travel and move around. But now, like millennials, so many of us are working remotely, obviously me. It's like, why would I gut out a negative 20 degree Fahrenheit, not Celsius, winter in Montana? And it'll stay like that for weeks, if not months. And I'm like, no. So come along this magical mystery odyssey with me. And I bring this up not just to explain why I'm filming in a closet. Did you notice I was filming in a closet? That's very astute of you. Cowboy did. He's outside whining. You are fine. You have an acre and a half to run around on and mini horses to bark at. And now I can hear you getting on the bed, which you know you're not supposed to. That's fine. I'm saying this because it's probably cold where you are. You're probably like, oh, I'm over this winter. I just want to I miss the summer and I miss cocktails and by the beach and blah, blah, blah. There are still some spaces left for my Shalligator getaway to Costa Rica this Memorial Day, the end of May. We're going for a week. We're going to be doing yoga, not too much, don't worry. Some hikes, also not too much. I'm an indoor cat. We're going to be making cocktails. We're going to be laying by the beach, going on excursions, looking at volcanoes and waterfalls. It's going to be so lovely. I can't wait. And if you guys are coming on the Dominican Republic trip in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we're going February 1st. I'm so excited to see you. Make sure you're on the Telegram group chat, and I'm going to send out some outfit inspirations and a lookbook soon, and just so excited. Also, stay tuned for a restock of the Ruthless and Revenge necklace. That's going to come in less than a week. And we've got a whole new design for you. You're really going to like this one. I don't want to give it away, but I think you're really going to like it, and it's going to be perfect for Valentine's Day. Okay, let's talk Demi. When was the last time she did something not ridiculous? Do you know what I mean? Her news cycle is comprised entirely of the idiotic. From I am non-binary, I don't have a vagina or whatever the fuck that means, to I'm sober, but I have a shroom room in my house and I'm California sober, so I smoke weed, even though I almost died and then had all these strokes when I OD'd and blah, 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 blah. Being super sober just doesn't work for me. Okay. To posting pictures from Paris Hilton's wedding where Paris did not make the cut for those photos. Nope, it's all her big old head. To cutting her hair off. Okay, so we have to talk about, I'm sorry, I feel I'm just word barfing all this out because this is how she makes us feel. So crazy, we kind of don't know where to start. Do you know what I mean? Let's start with her hair. There are some people, breakup bangs, you get dumped, you're like, I don't even care, Tyler, right? People think that they can change something external and fix something internal. We see this not only with breakup bangs, We see it with breast implants, lip injections, cheek filler, right? We see people all the time who think, and we might be one of them. I have been. I've never been shy about telling you guys about my edits and whatever, thinking that, okay, if I do this and do that, X, Y, and Z that's bothering me in my life will suddenly evaporate. The change doesn't need to come from within. No, the change is my hair. That was always the problem. The problem wasn't I dated Tyler and he cheated on me and I ignored red flags. No. He's not the problem. How I pick men isn't the problem. My self-esteem isn't the problem. This section of hair, this right here, this is the problem. All of my bad decisions, it's really not my decisions, it's not my decision. It's my bangs or my lack of bangs. So if I cut the bangs, everything will be fine. What does this have to do with Demi? Because every time she decides she doesn't have a vagina or that she's queer, even though 3 months prior she was engaged to a man who called her soulmate, love of her life, never love anyone else, she cuts her hair. She does some physical shift, whether she starts wearing clothes she fished out of a bin at a dollar store, or, she changes her house, she paints a shroom room, or she gets another tattoo. We'll get there in a second. She always starts with the hair. And, she cut her hair off. She's like, I'm liberated. And she always calls the same thing. Fresh start, fresh start, fresh start. The start doesn't come from without, it comes from within. And this feels like a good time to talk about something like that because it's like January 10th. We're like, oh, our New Year's resolutions, right? Oh, I remember those. CrossFit 6 times a week. Did I said that? Only kale Monday through Thursday? I wrote that. Is that my handwriting? Did I say that? Look. We're at the point, even though it's not that deep into the year, where we're losing sight of the goals we made. And it can be tempting to try something like this grand gesture. No, the change has to come from within. And change is comprised of very small steps. Big changes are made up of small changes, right? You want to throw something out, throw out all the junk food in your house. You don't have to eat kale 6 days a week. Say, hey, this week I'm throwing out all the junk food. I'm going to not even walk down that aisle at Target. I'm going to keep it moving. But Demi, no, she doesn't really do this. This isn't her thing. She shaved her head to start the year, fresh start. And now that she's out of rehab, apparently she went to rehab in Utah for however long. Like, that's dangerously close to Montana. Hey, look at me. Stay out of Montana, bitch. She shaved her head and then tattooed a giant spider on the side of her head. And don't you worry, I'm sure it has some meaning, like all of her ridiculous tattoos. How many tattoos are we talking? 22 and counting. That was an article I saw from last year. And so she has more, and she has tattoos like survivor, like you are a warrior, you got this, boss babe, #blessed. Who even fucking knows? But it's like, can someone buy this twat a diary? Can someone just buy her a fucking diary? Has she ever heard of that? Maybe just a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be a whole diary with like her face on it. Just something to doodle down phrases on. I mean, as much as we clown Khloe Kardashian for having like 6 different Instagram story highlights full of quotes, she's not tattooing every single one on her body like Demi is. She's one of those people who thinks if she puts it on her body, it'll somehow sink in. People who think if I get my lips done, it'll somehow sink in. If I cut the bangs, it'll somehow sink in. If I starve myself, the love will sink in. How can we tell if a behavior is ridiculous, right? Because I said at the beginning of this video, I don't know what the lesson is here. I don't know what the lesson is here. And some of our lessons are really grand, like, oh my God, this is life-changing. I mean, I think that they are. But you know what? Some of them might be a little smaller, and that's okay, because what were we saying about small things? They add up to big things. So where am I going with this ridiculousness thing? In that list of examples I just gave, I bet one of those stood out to you. I bet it was anorexia. If I starve myself into this certain size, then I'll love myself. Did that resonate with you? Because when I said it, I was like, oh, fuck, no, that resonates with me. The lip injections, no. Like the bangs, no. The tattoos, not really. The body? Oh yeah, I get that. We all have one of those kinds of things, one of those external shifts that we think and hope and pray is going to impact the internal. you know what? Sometimes it does. We've talked before about plastic surgery, and I'm like, if you have a bump on your nose that you've always hated, get it fixed, girl. Life's too short to go through your life hating one thing that's pretty fixable. If you're like, I just don't like my lips, I think they'd look better, fuller, great. But the way to tell if it's a destructive thing is if you imagine yourself with this different nose and the bigger lips, and you're also imagining your life now devoid of every problem you're currently facing, that's bad. That's a red flag. You think that if you get your tits done, well, you're never going to be self-conscious at a party. You're never going to feel anxiety. You don't even have to deal with this job anymore because you're going to find a guy who's going to marry you because now you have big tits. That's the reason you haven't had a boyfriend or a rich husband. It's your tits. Does that sound realistic? If someone said that to you, if a friend said that to you, you'd be like, Chelsea, no, that doesn't make a lot of sense, girl. No. Okay. Let's loop this back to Demi. Now we've circled back to how to tell if something is ridiculous. If you can't tell, and this is not just for you, well, should I do it? Should I do this thing? Should I cut my bangs? Should I get my boobs done? Should I get a tattoo? Should I shave my head? This is also something that we need to look at in society. Should I support this cause? I don't know. It's like a hashtag, but does this make sense to you? I don't know. Is it? I don't know. How can we tell if something's ridiculous? You take the arithmetic, right? And you copy and paste it into a different scenario, like we just did with the external solutions. We know that if we starve ourselves to 80 pounds, you're not going to love yourself more. Almost all of us have gone through some kind of eating disorder, some sort of body image crisis. I mean, I've literally never met a woman who hasn't. So welcome, sisters. So the reason Demi is empirically, evidentiarily, evidence-based, ridiculous is because if you look at her decision-making process, it makes no fucking sense. If you take it and apply it to a different scenario, it makes no fucking sense. Okay, so you're not working on your sobriety. You're shaving your head and you're getting tattoos. Are you going to therapy? Are you taking accountability? Are you painting over the shroom room in your house? Are you no longer employing people who are like yay saying you and think it's like, well, hey, sober doesn't work for her. Are you doing other things, or is that all you're doing and you're expecting that to have an impact? Copy and paste that with someone getting their lips done. Every time you feel bad about yourself, are you running to the doctor for another injection? That sounds crazy. And we can all acknowledge that's really not going to lead you to happiness. Goal setting, achievement, friends, altruism and giving back, close relationships, proving to yourself you can do something. That's going to build confidence. That takes a little longer though, right? So wait, so you mean I have to like finish school and make my bed every day and like work out and take care of my body, then I'll feel good? Yeah. I know. It's fucking terrible, right? When we try to take the shortcuts the easy way, has a way of backfiring. Demi is also ridiculous because of this non-binary shit. I'm sorry, I gotta talk about it. I don't call her they because it's stupid and it doesn't make sense. Sorry. And people are like, you don't respect her pronouns. I don't respect her at all. I don't respect her in any way. I don't respect how she treats her family and the people who love her, how she terrorizes them by making a joke out of her drug addiction. And yeah, okay, she's gone to rehab now. Great. But what has she been doing the last few years? Making jokes about it, right? She's like Amy Winehouse. No. Not going to rehab. Cool. Be dead by 27. I don't really care. She hasn't taken it seriously. And yet, when anyone calls that out, they're triggering her. They're bullying her. They're not respecting her. No, girl. We're looking at the arithmetic of your decision makings, applying it to another scenario and saying, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You don't make any sense. And the people who don't like us calling out their ridiculousness are the people who benefited, just like boundaries, from us having no logic of our own at all. So this brings me to the non-binary thing, because when I said in the video, no, I don't respect her. I don't respect her pronouns. I don't respect her at all. One of you guys was like, you know, it kind of sounds like you're shitting on the entire non-binary community. And I was like, no, like I'm shitting on Demi Lovato. Like she's ridiculous. I don't understand the non-binary thing. I don't understand it. And here's why. Let's go back to the ridiculous thing. Okay, you don't have a gender. What if I said, well, I don't have arms? Okay, but you do. Okay. Do you see where I'm going with this? No, I don't have arms. Oh, these? No. How dare you look at these and call these arms? They're not arms. I'm part of the armless elite. Shallon, you have arms, you use them. Demi has used her vagina, right? I don't know how often. I don't know with who. I don't care. She can use it wherever she wants. Knock yourself out, kid. But do you see what I mean about copying and pasting arithmetic and how when you put it in a different context, it stops making sense? If that's the case, it never made sense to begin with. And the people who are pushing this agenda, no, it doesn't. And I don't abide things that don't make sense. That's why I wear a necklace that says ruthless, because I am ruthless with myself in terms of my goal setting, in terms of my bullshit bad habits that don't serve me, and my negative self-talk that I need to dismantle. And guess the fuck what? I have just as little tolerance for bullshit in the rest of the world. I'm sorry, I can't abide this. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And if something doesn't make sense and people are constantly pushing it as an agenda, we can only assume it's for attention, right? No, it isn't. Okay, then I don't have any arms. I identify as a basset hound. I'm 26 forever. Are those any different? Yes, they are. Why? Because you can see that I have arms and I can't see you have a vagina? I really don't care what's down there. You just need to pick one. And it's funny because if anyone, I think, could make the claim that like, I'm not a gender, I really think it could be me. You know how much masculine energy I have. Ruthless, warlord, art of war. Like that's my whole thing. But I'm still like, no, I'm a girl. I get strength from being a girl. It's not a weakness. It's not something I need to erase. And I certainly don't need to inhabit this weird genderless purgatory. There's no power there. There's no strength there. It's just, well, I think that this describes me. Great. Describe yourself however you want. Stop expecting the world to agree. And I say, don't expect the rest of the world to agree or don't make them. Not because I'm just being obstinate and not politically correct. I mean, I am, and I'm fine with that. I really don't care. But also because if this is how you're going to move through life, baby, you are in for a world of fucking hurt. Yes, they are. They is. Whatever. I'm not doing it. Because think of how cold-blooded that is. Because we talk about cold-blooded animals versus warm-blooded animals, right? Cold-blooded animal, they like a lizard, they can't regulate their own temperature. They got to lay in the sun. They got to get everything from the outside or they die. A warm-blooded animal, a mammal, a lion, it comes from within. Confidence, self-esteem, it's the same way. Resiliency, from in here. It's not from out there. So if you are moving through the world with the cornerstone of your identity, as you've decided to define it, right? No one else is asking. No one gives a shit. You are leading with this thing that is this, it's like a turtle without a shell. It's a land octopus. It's this soft, fragile, vulnerable, throbbing thing that you need everyone else to protect. Otherwise, you die. Like you emotionally just wither and die. You honestly think this is a good thing? You think this is a healthy thing? And then you wonder why you're in this constant state of misery. It's because you are endlessly needing the whole world to say everything's okay. First of all, literally no one cares about you. No one cares about me. This is the gift and the curse of being alive. Because if you knew how seldom people thought about you, you'd stop caring if they did, right? You wouldn't be so concerned about what they thought. It's time to define ourselves by something other than an addiction, our haircut, the size of our tits, our weight, or what we do with our pussy or our wiener. I mean, these are parts of who we are, but it's not the entirety, unless you yourself are saying that it is. And you're like, no, I'm not an aspiring architect. I'm not a jewelry designer. I'm not a sister or a daughter or a best friend. I'm non-binary. Seems like the least interesting thing about you, dude, but, you know, fly high, queen. Or king. Fly high, they. Fly high, they. Same with Demi. When we said her whole news cycle has been ridiculousness, she's got such a boner for this eating disorder that she claims she has. Give me a fucking break. Demi, has she ever volunteered like at a high school to run like an eating disorder awareness workshop? Is she raising money for a foundation? Is she doing anything with her time? No, she's focused on herself. And that's why I have so little respect for her outside of the pronoun fuck shit. Like, I can't understand someone with that much money and that much influence and an audience that big doing absolutely jack shit with it. And I see a correlation with all of her tattoos and her head shaving and her theyness or they clown show. It's like, there's nothing else to you. You're just this hollow puppet of a person, or so you seem to be. I mean, maybe she's not, but like, people who are diverse kind of show it. Like, it shines through. They can't help but talk about issues and books and philosophy and travel and history and art, whatever. They can't help it. It comes through. It doesn't come through with her. The only thing that comes through is her clownery. So I'm glad she went to rehab. Good for her. Maybe this time it'll stick. But she can go to 1,000 rehabs if she doesn't actually think she's got a problem. And it kind of sounds like, we've broken down her documentary one by one, just like shredded. I've never heard a great deal of awakening from her. And, I had a therapist tell me this. Because one time I thought, I knew I was dating basically a sociopath. And I was like, I just want him to come to therapy. And she's like, no. Therapy for a sociopath is like finishing school. Because they just learn now what they need to say. They're like, blah, blah, blah. They have the vocabulary. They're parroting everything back. And they're convincing people even better and easier and more strongly that like, oh, they're a good person. They're a good guy. And when we hear Demi talk, I'm not saying she's a sociopath. I think she's a raging narcissist. But she has this whole vocabulary now that she loves to use. She's been therapized. And you look at this non-binary, genderqueer, non-conforming, weird haircut. Blah, blah, blah. What's the fucking difference? What's the difference? I don't see any in society. People who are dropping these woke words, trying to convince people easier and easier that they're a good person. And when maybe actually their motives aren't so pure at all. Not like they're all sociopaths. I mean, honestly, those people aren't even interesting enough to be sociopaths, so whatever. But not that they're sociopaths, but they're trying to move through life without consequence, without anyone catching them or calling them out. And, I don't have a vagina or a penis. Boop, that's a great card to play, because then you're the bad guy if you're like, that doesn't make any fucking sense, man. Do I have arms? Am I a bass hound? Am I 26? Okay, so if I have to have arms and not be a basset and be my age, I mean, if we're after equality, I'm just saying, if we're after equality, that's what equality is. You want to open up the floodgates for everyone to be a basset hound? Cool, then you're a they. Let's all do this. Let's all just re-fucking invent who we are and throw logic out the window. I'd love to be 26 again. I'm trans-chronological. We've talked about it. If you're not willing to do that, and Demi doesn't seem to be, and not just with the binary thing, but with her drug thing. Like, if she's not willing to accept, the bad parts of therapy, she's willing to accept the good things that blames other people and blames the music industry and her fans even, and the Jonas Brothers for like her eating disorder and her cutting. She doesn't seem to want to take, although, any responsibility for her own culpability in how she got to where she is. So I have a real hard time with people like that, who want to cherry pick what they're responsible for, cherry pick parts of a vocabulary, and just move through life like this rocket fuel asshole. Well, you know what? I'm the brick wall that rocket crashes into. I am always going to hold the line for logic. And people can say, you're so offensive. Oh, okay. So, thus concludes a 28-minute and 59-second rant about Demi Lovato. Do you guys think we have stuff to learn from her at this point? I know some of you guys are like, don't even cover her. We're so over it. But I think she's such a beacon of ridiculousness that we owe it to ourselves to kind of like dismantle it and be like, what? Because while she is on such an extreme end of the ridiculous spectrum, We see, like we talked about, shades of her in other people in society and issues and politicians and hashtags. And it's our job to be like, no, I'm sorry. Because when we can practice doing that with others and setting those logical boundaries, and we can practice doing it with ourselves, because that truly is the most important, change always has to start within, then the world actually will change. And truly, really for the better. Imagine if society operated under logic instead of fear, bullying, pressure, paranoia, divisiveness. Where would we be? I'll tell you where. I'd be president. Anyway, we will be back next time with more videos. We'll see what the celebs are up to, and I'll be here to cover it. I'm gonna see if I can get the space looking a little bit better, get the lighting a little bit better, brush out my hair a little bit. We're just getting warmed up. I'll see you later, Shalligators.